Hello, good evening, and welcome to another wonderful edition of your favorite current affairs program, The Point of View, right here on City TV. On Point of View, we get the right guests, choose the right topics, and of course, we glean useful insights on matters that are relevant and matter to you. My name is Duke Bentokoko, sitting in for your regular host, Bernard Kuku Avle. Today, the Supreme Court, in a 3-2 landmark ruling, has actually held that the deputy speakers can take part in voting while presiding over the House. This has been one of the matters that led to the controversies regarding the purported rejection, or of course now has been affirmed as constitutional, the action taken by First Deputy Speaker Joseph Osei-Owusu for the budget, 2022 budget, to be approved and passed by the House. We'll also be looking at the matters surrounding the New Patriotic Party's polling station executive elections and other matters arising this week. A man many call as the one holding the balance of power for the majority group in Parliament. The Second Deputy Speaker, there's been trouble brewing, being fomented in his constituency in the Ashanti region, that is the Fomena constituency. Of course, there's also been issues in the Subin constituency as well as the Kwadaso constituency in Kumasi in the Ashanti region. These are more we'll be discussing on The Point of View in this edition. We'll take a break. When I come back, I'll introduce my guests and we'll delve into the issues. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is The Point of View. Let's begin from the Supreme Court, the country's apex court, in a very, very much anticipated ruling that was delivered today, Wednesday. The court held that the first Deputy Speaker and the Second Deputy Speaker, in fact, the Deputy Speakers of Parliament, while they are presiding, can actually cast a vote or can vote. Now, the story, as reported on citynewsroom.com, says deputy speakers can vote while presiding in Parliament, Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled that a deputy speaker of Parliament or any other member of the legislature presiding over business of the House does not lose his or her right to vote while presiding. Such a speaker or member can also be counted as part of the quorum for decision-making in the House under Articles 1041 of the 1992 Constitution. The court consequently struck down Order 10903 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, describing it as unconstitutional. The order provides that a deputy speaker or any other member of Parliament presiding over the business of the House shall not retain his or her original vote while presiding. Instructively, the Supreme Court has upheld the Deputy Speaker Joseph Osei-Owusu's decision to count himself as forming quorum in the lead-up to the controversial approval of the government's 2022 budget. The landmark judgment was given in the landmark judge. Okay, so consequent upon this, he asked the Supreme Court to declare the decision taken on 30th November 2021 to approve the 2022 budget. So that was a matter that was taken to the Supreme Court by a law lecturer, Justice Abdullahi. Yeah. So in studio, in this edition, I have with me a man who has occupied a position which has become one that is in contention as we speak currently. The First Deputy Speaker has been First Deputy Speaker of Ghana's 4th Parliament. Currently, he serves as the chairman of the New Patriotic Party and one of the very few men in our politics to have been on the left of our politics and now on the right for politics. Freddie Blay is one of my guests. Welcome, Mr. Freddie Blay.
Thank you very much, Duke.
How are you doing? It's been, I think, after the NPP's Congress in Ashanti region conference. Yes, I know the Lagos conference. You've gone quite. Is it because you are not seeking re-election as chairman of the party?
I haven't gone far. Quite recently, I addressed a press conference, and the position of a chairman is to preside over meetings of the party, steering committee, NEC, and the council, and of course Congress or conference, and not to be making too much noise all over. We need to only organize the party, and it's a teamwork. We are all doing it our own way. We set the ball rolling, put together what we want to do, how to reorganize the party, have elections from polling stations level to the national level, and maybe later on even have the primaries for the presidential candidates. It's the party's in motion. Yeah. We are active. But the party is in the news.
But the most basic of these exercises, which is the polling station elections, is what seems to have caused a great uproar in the party. We'll come to that issue and discuss it thoroughly. But for now, though, let's take the reaction of the Attorney General to this landmark ruling by the Supreme Court.
The reaction of the Attorney General?
Yes.
Yes.
Simple and straightforward. I perceive the issues are very simple and straightforward because nowhere in the Constitution has any statement been made that whenever a deputy speaker presides, he loses his right to vote. And indeed, as I indicated in submissions for the court, all the circumstances under which a member of parliament will lose his right to vote have actually been spelled out in Article 104 itself. And so it is really devoid of controversy. It's also very important to know that in all jurisdictions around the world, whenever the Speaker of Parliament or a Deputy Speaker of Parliament is a member of Parliament, he always has the right to vote. In England, it's the same. In America, it's the same. In Australia, Canada, everywhere is the same. And Kenya, even in Africa, Kenya, South Africa is also the same. Whenever the Speaker of Parliament or a Deputy Speaker of Parliament is an MP, he never loses the right to vote. The right to vote is actually linked to the right to represent his constituency. Are we saying that on account of the person being a deputy speaker, he loses the right to represent his people when the major issue of national importance has arisen? I think the reason by the Supreme Court clearly is sound, is in accord with the practice in other jurisdictions around the world, and also clearly borne out.
So that is the Attorney General, Freddie Blay. Of course, he indicating that this is straight, sort of agrees with the position of the Supreme Court. But so you're also a lawyer of many years standing. Apart from that, many have said that, how do you expect, so the analogy has been made that the first deputy speaker is like a referee who at a point in time turns to be a footballer. I mean, in a game situation. So, for instance, in the matter that brought about the uproar in Parliament during the approval of the budget, he put the question and then he said 137 plus myself, 138, and then it caused an uproar and all of that. This is a situation that many are trying to describe as unforthomable.
I don't believe it is plus myself. He says 137 or 138 against 137. He's of course counting himself.
He's counting himself. Counting
Why not?
Sitting in the chair.
It makes eminent sense, just as what my Attorney General said in his press statement. I have always believed that deputy speakers who are members of Parliament are entitled to exercise their votes as representing their constituents, never taken away from them merely because they are presiding. At committee level, they preside. Indeed, at committee level, it's not only the first deputy speaker or the second deputy speaker, but any member who happens to chair a committee of Parliament is in a position to exercise these votes. Assuming even for purposes of this nature, the first or second deputy speaker is not around. Any other member is asked or elected from among members that you should go and preside. You don't lose your votes, which represent the constituency that you come from. I think this, to me, has been very obvious, and it makes eminent sense that the Supreme Court unanimously decided that is the case.
3-2. There are two who dissented, actually.
Well, it's 3-2. That's okay. Yes.
But many have said that, I mean, the decision may have been given, but giving practical effect to it in Parliament may bring some form of chaos. For instance, in a case where you have the Speaker and the second deputy speaker out of the jurisdiction, which is a situation we have currently, because I mean the speaker is out of the jurisdiction, and for the past week in Parliament, the second deputy speaker, I think has not been around. So in such a situation where you have only the first deputy speaker or only the second deputy speaker around, he wouldn't have the opportunity to change, come and take his seat for the vote to be taken. It is, in a sense, this may be difficult to implement.
It's an odd situation that you are seeking to paint. But
the judgment should look at all of these issues holistically.
The judgment doesn't have to look at, assuming, for the purpose of your argument, first deputy speaker or second deputy speaker is certain, and he wants to get up, he will get up to go and do whatever he's supposed to do.
And at the time, the House will not have would be left, I mean, without somebody presiding, except you may want to suspend proceedings or something.
Sometimes you suspend proceedings, but it's very odd a situation that will arise that the first deputy speaker may be presiding. There's only one speaker around. Invariably, it doesn't happen that way. There will be 2 or 3 of them will be there, but it doesn't normally happen. It's unfortunate that such a situation arises because of a near-hang parliament that at the moment we have, and therefore every number is necessary. In the U.S., particularly in the Senate, you could see that they are almost at par.
Yeah.
And the presiding member, that's the Speaker of the House.
It's also a member of the House.
It's
but our situation is different.
So, but I'm saying, as a member of the House, he votes. He exercises his right to vote. And there is nothing, nobody finds anything wrong. Just as you heard the Attorney General say, in almost all the jurisdictions, democratic jurisdictions in the country, where even the Speaker is a member of the House, he exercises his votes. He votes. So how do you say that the first and second deputy speaker, who are members representing their constituency, in the event that they need to exercise their votes for their constituency, you say merely because they can sometimes preside over meetings when the speaker is not there, that they can't vote? I think it's self-serving.
You have served the speakership of Parliament before as first deputy speaker.
First deputy speaker, second deputy speaker.
Second deputy speaker as well, yes. So the two, exception of the speakership. Now, here's a case. You have judicial precedent for an attorney general where Parliament held that where the Supreme Court held that Parliament is a closed book one. Again, it's always said that Parliament is a master of its own rules. It's an established. Is there no conflict between the Supreme Court exercising its power of judicial review as against what has been held for an attorney general that Parliament is a closed book where you cannot really?
I don't believe that
other arms of government cannot pry into the affairs of what happens on the floor of Parliament.
They are procedures. They are masters of that Parliament is a master of its own procedures.
Yes.
But Parliament is not entitled to make its laws contrary to the Constitution. Okay. Everything else is subject to the Constitution. For the interpretation of what is even right or wrong, it's the principal domain of the Supreme Court. Parliament has no power to do that. Ours is a constitutional government. Although there is a separation of law, it's not. Parliament is not sovereign. Parliament is subject to the Constitution. The executive is subject to the Constitution. And indeed, even the legislature, the court system, and the executive are all subject to it. But the interpretation of what is right and wrong, or what is in accordance with the Constitution or not, is strictly the preserve of the Supreme Court. Even some of the courts, when you attempt, some of the lower courts, you attempt to interpret the Constitution. So they say, look, you're overstepping your bounds, you're crossing the line. The interpretation of the Constitution, for that matter, is only the Supreme Court that. So
you don't. For some, for instance, the minority leader has described this as a travesty of justice. It's that the Supreme Court is supporting government's effort to pass the e-levy. It's an affront to parliamentary democracy. Slap in the face of checks and balances, separation of powers.
It's an unfortunate political soundbite, and it's unfortunate. I mean, let me say so that any lawyer, which I believe that minority leader is a lawyer of some good standing. You should not even talk like that. You should not say that it's a travesty of justice. Indeed, it's a fulfillment of justice, it's promotion of justice, it's a law. It's deepening the frontiers of the law. I think we must all accept it. Indeed, if you don't do that, and you become an advocate for what happened in Parliament, where it's chaotic, where people will just get up and go and take over the seats and attempt even to give blows to their opponents in the chamber. To me, it's unheard of, and this is clear that the Supreme Court has come and said this is what ought to be done, and we should accept it and move on. It's a promotion of democracy in this country,
but Chairman,
and rule of law.
All these issues are coming up because we have a parliament that is split right down the aisle.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And many attribute that to one of your frailties as a leader or as a leader of the machine, the party machinery of the NPP. That went into the battle of the 2020 election with 169, 106, over 60 seats, losing that majority to what we have in Parliament. That is making it difficult for government to even pass its budget. Some say it's a dent on your leadership. How do you respond to such people?
Some may say so if you want to also.
But how do you respond to that? Is there not an iota of truth in such allegations? You go into battle with the advantage of 60.
The party responsibility is to bring government into power. It's to win power and let government take over and execute the projects in accordance with the manifesto and the beliefs and objectives of the party. Strictly speaking, when the government is in control of affairs, exercising a mandate, the party supports it, yes. But we go to election and we all together try to, as it were, win the seat as many as we can. Several other factors may lead to the results. It doesn't mean that an individual will say that, and under my leadership, we won.
A key tax measure, a key tax measure like the e-levy has not been passed because...
We come back to the e-levy. 2016 we won with a very comfortable margin. And then, of course, even in 2020, the president won. Another Danko Akufo won $500 million. This country has been governed at one stage, at one time. Somebody who has won for only 40 to 45,000, and it went on. Except, of course, in Parliament, then something else comes into play. When the numbers are extremely equal, as we have, almost equal as we have now, there will be plenty of problems. Which needs a way we have to handle it. The leadership of Parliament must do so. We must enter into some kind of conversation and give and take. And indeed, the executive must also support its leadership so that things could run very well and members of Parliament could, as it were, come to conclusion of things to support government programs and make sure that this country takes. I agree. There are difficulties because sometimes it is a position of the minority to criticize, to say what they want to say, and it's for the majority to have its way. But when we are almost equal, sometimes it's brinkmanship, and it's not easy, and that's what we are exercising now. And we are seeing in Parliament. That's what we are experiencing in Parliament. And we don't blame anybody. I wouldn't look back and say because of that, it shows that as an individual, I was responsible for not having 175 or 275 seats in Parliament. But a lot of things will work over that.
Government's key policy, tax policy measure, 6.9 billion projection in terms of revenue, 3 months after passage of appropriation bill, that has not been passed. Clearly somebody should take the fall for it. And some say if the party had been properly organized, maintained at least even at a gap of about even 5 seats, this wouldn't have been a topic for discussion at all.
Duke, as I was telling you, you were looking back and say that, wish it had happened like that. I wish it had happened like that. In fact, I would have wished that rainwater was beer. I love beer. It never happened. Rainwater is water. And therefore, the reality is that what we have at the moment is that we are almost at par. And there are a lot of difficulties that comes with that. And we are experiencing that. And for sure, I'm not happy that we should be struggling over government policy of e-levy, which will bring in the revenue that could build this country, could let us move forward. I even believe that even the opposition party, in its manifesto, had said that they would introduce something of that nature. But now, even the leader, the minority leader himself, at one stage had said that, okay, if it is to 175, it's a little too much, bring it to 1.5 or 1, we will agree. He's turned around to say that he doesn't even agree to, that the e-levy should come at all. He doesn't want taxes at all to be imposed in this country for government to have revenue. It's unfortunate. But as I said, we will find a solution to it. We need to do that. Ghanaians are beginning to appreciate that it is necessary for tax, some form of tax to be imposed on us. It's not a pleasant thing being asked to put your hand into your pocket and pay tax. Nobody in the world does that from time immemorial. But it's a necessary evil, if you call it evil. We need to have taxation, we have tax ourselves to ensure that we will move on. And we've been borrowing, we've been asking for help, we've been asking for donations left and right. But these days, these are all wells that are dried up. And therefore, we need to look within ourselves and maybe with a knife and squeeze our faces and put it in our face so that we can squeeze a little blood out of us to undertake the project that government has decided we must move on. We must ensure that our infrastructure is necessary. People are asking for it. Fix it. They are asking the roads, this, that, and that. It takes money to do that. And it doesn't rain from the sky. So when government is imposing such taxes from time immemorial, indeed, I even have seen a clip when the president, John Mahama, was pleading with Ghanaians that they should agree that he's not happy imposing taxes, but he has to, because people don't even love paying taxes.
Nobody loves to pay taxes.
Of course, and he says that we must.
It's a way of shaping it.
If he was just to be popular, he would prefer not to impose taxes. He said it. I think he himself is an advocate for that. So now, of course, the shoes is on the wrong footing. That's why he's making this. But as I said, we are all beginning to realize that it's not easy. Okay. We must move on.
And another thing, before we move on to the issues of the New Patriotic Party, another thing which, another result or effect of the 2020 election was the fact that for the first time the election produced a speaker from a different party other than the one governing. That's your colleague, Speaker Alban Bamwe. Yes, he was a speaker for so many years.
He was a member of parliament,
yes? We were in parliament.
Yes,
we were in parliament with him.
We're colleagues in parliament.
Yes, colleagues in parliament. How is he faring as Speaker of the House?
That's an odd question.
How
is he faring? He's doing his work from his, according to, from his own perspective. It's trying, and I believe it's not an easy job. It's trying hard. A few mistakes here and there, but it's human. That's evidence of our humanity, and for that matter, we must all agree that we should correct things, we should consult more, and we must find a way of meeting each other halfway and move on.
What would you call
there
mistakes?
Was something else that he did that I liked.
What would you call the mistakes that?
No, there was something else. I'm saying something like the other time he had when he had been away. He says the first deputy speaker had reversed, according to him.
Yes,
as a reverse of the decision he made. But the first deputy speaker came out to explain that no, I wasn't reversing any decision he made, but there was a motion which had not been grounded well, and the motion, when I sat, the motion got completed, and it was called upon. In my capacities. Once you are sitting as a speaker, you are a speaker. And it's not a question of precedent which you can go against. Even then, once you sit there, it's fair that, well, a fresh thing that has been decided, I don't need to go over it. But we are not bound by any precedent. The situation of the day while you are sitting, if it calls for a change because of the facts and the evidence before you, and from your own perspective, you think you can make a change, of course you do so. If he comes to sit on it, that's why there was a need, as he himself pointed out. The two of us can find out if there are differences in terms of approach. I could let my opinion be known, and if you disagree, let's find a way of ironing those differences. Other than that, it's degenerating to something else, and then there may be blows among members of parliament, which, as much as possible, we should avoid.
Okay, so but I'm interested in, you spoke about the fact that you think he's made some mistakes. What would these mistakes be?
Well, I don't want to harp on that. I'm saying definitely, as a human being sitting on there could be a few mistakes that I will not agree that the dressing, for example, I will not go to that extent that you dress like a king to come and sit on. I wouldn't do that. But that is, I consider that to be maybe a mistake. And there are a few things that you descend into the arena of the exchanges, and sometimes make pronouncement that makes you look like as if you are also a member, or you are speaking for a government or for an opposition party, and giving warnings, etc. I think
my guess is
you should refrain from doing that.
Freddie Blay, chairman of the New Patriotic Party. We spent the first part of the program talking about the Supreme Court's decision, of course, other matters in Parliament, as well himself being a first Deputy Speaker and second Deputy Speaker of Parliament. We'll be back after this break. Stay with us. You're welcome back. This is still The Point of View. My name is Duke Mentokoku, sitting in for your regular host, Bernard Koku Avle. We spent the first part of the program discussing the Supreme Court's decision, of course, affirming the voting rights while presiding of the first and deputy speakers of Ghana's Parliament. Now we're moving to the New Patriotic Party and its internal issues arising out of the ongoing reorganization of the party, beginning with the polling station executive elections. So let's first of all take you to the Formina constituency. Formina holds a special place because the second deputy speaker, who is an independent member of parliament, used to be a former member of parliament of that constituency on the ticket of the NPP, whose seat was declared vacant, sort of became the rejected stone that has become the cornerstone. It's the one who is tilting the balance of power in favor of the NPP as the majority group in parliament. But it looks like some members of the party are not happy with attempts to make him the candidate for the party in the 2024 general elections. Here are sights and sounds from and scenes from Formina.
The angry New Patriotic Party NPP supporters who joined the demonstration on Monday played campaign songs of former President John Mahama, while they insist they will not be voting for the NPP in the next general election if the current situation is not corrected. They accused the national leadership of the party of scheming to impose on them the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who is an independent MP of the area. The disappointed NPP members held placards with inscriptions such as, "Let the NPP constitution work. John Boadu & Co. will resist imposition of a Siama. No unopposed in Formina. Will defend the NPP constitution," among others. In a bid to show their seriousness, the aggrieved protesters, who are threatening to defect to the NDC, then painted the NPP Formina constituency office in NDC colors. They then pasted posters of former President John Mahama on the building. The protesters have vowed to resist attempts to impose Andrew Amoako on them in the next general elections. Emmanuel Duma is the spokesperson for the aggrieved supporters of NPP in the Fomena constituency.
How could you allow the independent candidate opposed on your party members? We have a lot of procedure that we are not timid. I mean, we are not political illiterate like Dombodi. We are doing things systematically. We are doing this systematically. We know where we are going to. The only thing that can hinder them, that if they don't adhere to what we are saying, that these eminent people are saying.
So that's Fomena New Patriotic Parties. We're told that the parties, the office has since been painted back into the colours of the NPP. Chairman, has this been brought to your attention?
Well, I also saw it on the social media, and that's been brought up. And that's unfortunate. That's brought up this unfortunate situation. But let me tell you that Fomena has been a little difficult constituency for the party for quite some time prior to the 2020 elections. And as has been pointed out, you yourself pointed out, Sema was a member of the NPP. It was indeed the Fomena MP on the ticket of the party. NPP, And then there were a few problems, disagreement here and there. And that's indeed, it was somebody else was chosen in his place. And a chunk of
the party caused his seat to be declared vacant.
Please, let me finish.
It was an act of the New Patriotic Party.
Well, we had thought that at that time that he shouldn't have declared himself
an
independent candidate. That because we had then not really finished with this the kind of settlement that we had wanted to take place. It was difficult. Let me be honest with you. To the extent that at the end of the day, even the chairman of the constituency was made to resign. But be it as it may, we have not yet resolved the very difficult situation that, because some said, if the man went independent according to our constitution, then of course for faith. But here is a peculiar situation we have on hand. You've told me, almost a hung parliament, to the extent that he's come to come home to his mother party. It's not said that I'm independent, but it's associated. That's what gives us a majority. And then the leadership of the party have decided that in that case, we treat him differently from all others. So that if at the moment as we are talking here, he decides that as an independent candidate, I don't want to be part of this arrangement, and therefore I'm withdrawing from it. It creates a serious problem for him. Others may even do so. So it was a difficult decision that the party leadership took to ensure that we fully bring him back and support him to, as it were, be with us in the constituency.
But you see that unpopular in the party to the extent that people who may have ambitions to want to put themselves would be curtailed, or the ambitions would be cut short, to say that he should be allowed to go, as is being alleged by your party members in that constituency.
I wouldn't like to discuss even in detail the kind of arrangement and the kind of concessions that one will reach over such a situation, in the sense that he's still in parliament and he's having still a few problems on the ground in the constituency. We are aware of it. It's not the only one. And therefore, if we've taken a position that we want to even make it a little easier for our members of parliament so that they could stay in parliament and do work for a party, because literally we are almost under siege in parliament, and therefore all hands should be on deck. There are people who have ambition, irrespective of what we are experiencing in parliament. They don't appear to even be bothered about it. And we say we've taken such a decision. You can even put yourself up on the ticket of the party. But it's the leadership of the party in Accra, the leadership in Ghana, talking about NEC, will make a decision. And if NEC makes a decision that this is the way we are going, and to help our government to be in power, so that we all who claim to be in love with the party and we are members, faithful members of the party, we don't just decide that we are painting your party offices the opposition party.
But is this
you don't even decide that your general secretary, you will publicly insult him. I think that's not.
But is this symptomatic? Is it not symptomatic of the kind of resentment?
It's not discipline.
The
party has regulations. The party has regulation and code of conduct that if you disagree or if things have been done in a way that you disagree, there's a way to go back. Some are even in court. Some are in court. And we are trying to, as it were, I know some of them are. We set up a committee to review those who have genuine grievances.
So as party chairman, of course, this is a decision that obviously goes beyond you as an individual, as a person.
Not as an individual, yes.
Would you have such a situation like this? Would you just brush it aside and say that for the greater interest of the party, let's move on, let's maintain the balance of our party, or you just, or you have the opportunity to accommodate their concerns?
Definitely give their consent, will accommodate. But at the end of the day, we take decision that to promote the interests of the party as a party, and not for individuals or a group of people who can publicly now say that they are going to vote elsewhere. If you want to go vote, you don't need to threaten us. You need to move on.
But as national executives, have you been able to wrap your head around exactly what is going on? Because this is not for me, it's not an isolated case. There's Yendi, there's Kwadaso, there's Subin. We saw the locking up of the offices.
Give you the numbers, about 15 of them.
So many of them.
Don't say so many of them.
Polling station executive
we have
elections.
275 constituencies in this country.
Over 22,000 polling stations.
Over 38,000.
38,000, yes, sorry.
Polling stations in the country. Here and there are a few problems here. But if about 15 constituencies out of 275, we are having such problems, such petty. It's unfortunate. Nasty, some of them. Sometimes they've been reduced to fisticuffs and so forth. Trying to contain it. We set up a committee that if people are saying you've not even given them opportunity to buy forms, some have bought the forms, you've refused to allow them to submit the forms. These are problems we can easily iron out. If an individual who is nursing ambition to be a member of parliament on the ticket of the party, we love it, we are happy. But there's a way to go about it. If you are denied 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 out of about 250 polling stations, that 30 or 20, less than 20 have been denied the opportunity to do that, it doesn't mean the whole sky should fall on us. It doesn't mean that you should go to the radio, TV, or make social media hula baloo over it to the extent that everybody in the party has turned upside down. Of course, this is publicity, and all publicity for politics may be a little interesting. But I must assure you, and I want to tell you here, that we've set up a committee, we are taking care of it. Those who have grievances, some of them can be accommodated. Others that we can accommodate, it's unfortunate. There will be better times, then you can take advantage of it. This is in motion. We are doing this. Indeed, we are moving on to electoral area coordinators.
Then you go to constituency.
You go to that.
Then you have regional.
That will be easy.
National.
In fact, the most difficult aspect of this exercise, this is what we are doing, is the
polling station.
The polling station. And of course, vast numbers, and because sometimes it's very difficult to know who are members of the party at that basic level, it becomes a problem. We're trying to ensure that we don't send people off. If you are not careful, even some people, as I said, they beat immigration. They don't belong to the party and they find themselves in it. But these are few ones.
Okay. All right. So we'll take a break here. When I come back, we'll look at the lead up to the national elections. Of course, there will be regional elections, constituency elections, national elections, and of course, the big one. What some many people have questioned, the battle for the soul of the NPP, the flag bearership election leading to the 2024 election. Why he's not contesting again, and what will be his biggest legacy as chairman of the New Patriotic Party. Back after the break. Stay with us. You're welcome back. This is still the point of view. I have in studio Freddie Blay, chairman of the New Patriotic Party. So, of course, chairman, with all the issues at the polling station level, 38,000 of them, see what's happening from now. And there is some fear that it may get worse as it goes up. Electoral area coordinators to the constituency level elections, to the regional elections, where contest is heating up for some regional chairman to be challenged, and then the national, where some of you are not running again, but there are others who are seeking re-election, others also trying to move up a notch higher, and all of that.
Yes, and the question is?
The question is, what is the state of the health of the New Patriotic Party amidst all this?
Is very healthy.
Can say be said after the process, all the processes are over?
The party is strong. The state of the party is extremely strong. Indeed, some of us are excited over the interest and enthusiasm people have displayed in even going to pick forms at basic level as the police stations, that people are even eager to serve the party from that level. So I'm saying that, well, and I did also mention that's the most difficult stage. Immediately we pass that, you go on to the electoral area, election that we are going to conduct. There will be about 70,000 people all over the country. Yeah. And then we'll do it that way. After that, 7,000, I must say. After that, what else remains? Constituency. And then we go to the region, and then, of course, national. That's what we're doing. It's democracy. Working. It could be chaotic sometimes, but we have it all under control. We've set up the machinery to ensure at each stage what to be done. If it's getting out, we monitor. We are monitoring it, and no, it's not. If I say about 15 stations, particularly in Ashanti and sometimes in the eastern region, once in the Yendi, as you pointed out, Odan and Manshia North, and what is it, Subin and Kwadaso. These are some places that, but many of them we've sat them down. Abampong, they've settled that we agree to this. All of them love the party.
So you're confident the committee will do a good job?
Do a good job.
You won't have a problem.
Definitely wouldn't be any problem.
But the national executive elections, you are not running again. I'll be asking you later why you are not running again. But there are some who are saying that there are some party members, prominent members, who are of the view that none of you deserve, nobody among the current crop,
an opinion, expression of opinion,
shouldn't be
people
maintained.
I can see people attacking even my general secretary.
Who, by the way, we are told is seeking re-election.
They attack. They spread me attack.
Because you are not running.
And that kind of thing. So opponents may find a way and get people to be at you for whatever good job they may make it look like as if we are not doing well. But as I said, we have been at this game, we've done well, we've gone to elections twice on the trot, we've won. And that's the duty, that is the responsibility and the mandate given to the party leadership. And we don't do that, it's a teamwork. And the teamwork among not only the national executives, but with the regional and the constituency. And in this case also, polling station level, we work together. So you can't immediately then say that you have isolated the national leadership, that they are the trouble for. Indeed, some even will go to say that it's the ministers, or can say that it's DCs, or even go to the side of him to say that it's the president's fault. They will say so. But as I said, we take it in our struggle. We do so, say that yes, if there are problems, we share it. There comes to be some kind of praises and that kind of thing about what you've done for being in power, for making sure that the party becomes strong. It's one of the best organized parties, maybe on the continent of Africa. If you are doing so, there are problems we will encounter. But we pat our back also for the work that we've done.
But Chairman, why are you not running again? Why is the
of
kitchen
course,
too hot? You can't handle it anymore.
Call it that way, if some people will say so.
Really?
But there isn't much that one can seek to even establish again. You've gone to it twice. First, I was a deputy, a vice, and then acted, and then I won as a chairman. We've gone for elections. There could be other things that you want to do. So there will be other people who may be also interested and take over. Indeed, you could see the stress on you. You see that the pressure you undergo as a chair. So you want to give way for others also to come and try it. You know, there is an account proverb that you give opportunity for others also to take over.
But there are chances of breaking the 8. I mean, that for the first time, a political party would cross the Rubicon of 2 terms and go into a third one, the NPP seeking to that. Means that there is, for President Akufo-Addo cannot run again. So the party would have to present a new candidate.
Yes, that's true.
That has been dubbed as a fight for the soul of the New Patriotic Party. Is it one that the party can come out of unscathed?
Oh, I'm convinced about that. I think when you say we can come out unscathed, what do you mean by unscathed? Definitely, it's not going to be easy. In 2008, when the party went into election, the primaries were as many as 17. I believe this time around it will be far less, and even some arrangement could be made somehow. I believe at the end of the day, we will agree to, as it was saying, that let's back this, because these are rough times. You know, we have just come from COVID time. The economy, because of COVID, had imposed restrictions, had imposed very severe pressure on us. We need togetherness. We need sometimes even to put all our ambitions somewhere and support a candidate that we think behind him, all of us, we could breaking the 8 is not just a slogan. It's going to be reality, because it's not been easy. Let me be very ruling this country. Sometimes people easily get bored with you. If you are not careful, if you don't do magic, if even when your policies are succeeding, when you have come from COVID, before COVID, you were going 7.2 GDP. And then after COVID, you moved on to 5 point something. You are moving. Still, people are not. Some say fix it. Some are not even happy of what it is. The road that you are doing, unparalleled building of roads in this country. Some people still are not satisfied. You need to master all your forces, your communication forces, and because the social media is awash with all kinds of accusations and sometimes propaganda, wicked propaganda against the government, which is doing very well. You sometimes feel a little restricted.
But apart from the organization side, looking at the strength of the party's record, is it one that can convince the Ghanaian electorate that the party needs an additional 4 years in addition to the 8 years?
That's exactly what I was saying.
The record of the party, apart from organizing the structures and getting a winnable candidate. That's what I was saying. In terms of the record of the Akufo-Addo administration.
That's what I was saying. And
now there's e-levy. There are those who are even saying that the fuel prices have broken the 8 ahead of the party. There's the CD depreciation and all these issues.
I'm saying that nobody is happy with the CD depreciation considering what is happening. Indeed, within the first 3 or so months or first quarter of the year, you realize that companies that are working in your country may be, repatriating their profits and so forth. It has some pressure on the city. This is one of the things. The fuel prices, it's not the making of Nana Akufo-Addo.
Taxes, some say you can scrap it. You have the stabilization fund.
Even the fuel prices within 3 months or even 10 days now, because of the Russian war, it's skyrocketing. You could see it's unpredictable. It's going up, and it's not only that. Grains, rice, all kinds of things, and people in US they are raising fuel prices. US that may have biggest reserve of fuel or petrol or oil, and that its bowels of the earth there in Nakad. They are raising it. Europe is even worse. And we in Africa, Ghana, accept that it's been under very good management. And yet some people, of course, can't stand it and yet are complaining. But let me say that it's not rosy now. And let's all brace ourselves for the tough times. That's why I'm saying that our record has been good. Management has been excellent. Near excellent. Of course, people are not happy. Some people are not happy. But that's why we have to put ourselves together and back somebody who will do the job for all of us.
Last question. If you are not seeking re-election, obviously,
yes,
you want to exit as chairman of the party.
Yes.
What should you be remembered for? Your biggest legacy, what you remembered for us as chairman of the New Patriotic Party?
I want to leave that to posterity. Duke, I'm saying that it's only when you are gone that people can tell. I won't sit here before you and say that I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. And I've said it's a teamwork. And teamwork, with all humility, we work together. I want to thank my friends who work with me. I want to thank the president. I want to thank all the others who have cooperated and made me also be part of what it is. I'm very proud of that. It's been a teamwork for us. I can't tell myself that it is my proud legacy that I've done here and there. Yeah. I'll leave it to you. Later on, maybe posterity may be a bit kind.
So that's Freddie Blay, chairman of the New Patriotic Party. My name is Duke Mensah, sat in for your regular host, Ben Akoko Abele. This has been The Point of View. Thank you for watching. Keep watching CCTV. Thank you.
The Point of View is brought to you by Cowbell Coffee. Cowbell Coffee. Taste it, love it. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal. Happy smile.